Well, clearly, if you look at how Ayurveda approaches disease, then Ayurveda will never first look to some outer influence, some bacteria or something, as the cause of the disease. They will always seek the cause within the body itself. And not only even in the body, but they will look at the whole person, the mental, the emotional, the physical, the diet, everything. So, and then they have this system of the three doshas, the wind, the bile, and the mucous. And they will see that whenever there is an imbalance in these, then disease comes. And then sometimes, okay, that imbalance is being abused, you could say, by some bacteria, by some virus, by some outer agent. But that is definitely also in many diseases not the case. No? Many diseases are just caused quite directly by this instability, creating, whatever, too much water here, too much fire there, too much wind in another place. No? So that is basically, how they see it. And the longer this imbalance is there, the more serious the disease will be. And so that is, how we have to keep ourselves healthy. And definitely there then also understanding the link between our emotions and these three doshas. Because if for some reason, let's say some attachment, we are too much thinking, then that will also imbalance the wind element. If for some reason, some attachment, we are too much angry, then that will imbalance the fire element. And if we are too much, let's say, sad, to put it in a very simple way, then if we don't cry, we will imbalance the kapha, the mucus, in the body, etc., etc., etc. I mean, it's more complicated, of course, but these are there. So in a way, an Ayurvedic doctor is always, almost by definition, also a therapist, who will not only ask what are you eating and how are you living, like in the physical sense, but who will also want to know what's going on in your mind, what's going on in your emotions, and in that way better understand where all this is coming from and give you some guidance maybe there to be more happy. And then with the diet or some medication, we'll try to counter this imbalance. And then when balance is restored, then whatever external agent was also somehow involved, it will have to go. Like just to take sadness, If sadness is there, but somehow we are suppressing it, we can't handle it, so we don't cry, we just swallow it, then this will create a problem in the mucous membranes, which means that wherever they are, whether they are in the throat or in the nose, I think those are the most important ones, but we also have them in the lungs, of course, and in a number of other places. Then there, the extra mucus will come, and then that is very handy for some bacteria or virus who enters the airways, and comes in the nose, comes in the throat, to make abuse of that situation. Basically, when we have mucous membranes, always the problem is dryness. When too much dryness comes, these membranes, they cannot properly function. Like the membranes in the lungs, they always need to be somehow moist, otherwise they exchange oxygen, carbon dioxide, it cannot happen. So the mucus is there to always keep a certain moisture. But if for some reason we are restraining the mucus, like emotionally restraining the mucus, then that will create a dryness. And then that dryness will lead to overproduction of mucus. And then overproduction of mucus may be, abused by some bacteria, by some viruses, or the absence of it also, actually. It depends on the type of infection that you have, and will then, further aggravate the problem. So I think in Ayurveda it is very clear, and it is also becoming somewhat more clear in Western science, that for every disease there is an emotional imbalance at the source of it, whether directly or indirectly. And with indirectly I mean that if there is an emotional imbalance which leads to unhealthy behavior, that this of course is also a pathway in which we can attract disease or simply become ill. No? When we are over using sweet to somewhat soften our feeling of sadness, then this also will produce a kapha problem, no? Will also produce a mucus problem. So in that way, it's quite complicated, and the main thing is stay balanced, no? And as I said, we cannot avoid negative emotion; they are part of life, but we should avoid to get stuck in them. No? Be ready to look into the mirror, no? And then see what is going on, see why we feel that way, accept whatever there is to accept, do whatever there is to do, so that we can get through it and not get stuck. Because once the imbalance is there, it is much harder to again reach a balance. No? It's very easy in a way to create an imbalance in the body. But once it is there, it is very hard to restore it. Because you push, no? Let's say you have too much mucus, then okay, I might say drink ginger tea, take black pepper with honey, or other things which will reduce the mucus. But maybe that'll create a dryness. And then you'll have a skin problem maybe, or another problem, a dry cough maybe. So it then has to be done in very good way, and the doctor is not always there, so it's tricky, tricky. And anyway, the whole thing also teaches us that in staying healthy and even in dealing with disease, the doctor is not number one. No? We are number one. We are the ones who are responsible. We are the ones who are present with the patient 24 hours a day. So we are the ones who have to understand these things. We are the ones also who have to deal with our emotions, but we are also the ones, whenever there is an imbalance, who have to get to know ourselves and use different things to again regain balance. And okay, sometimes not easy, sometimes we do need a specialist, we do need a doctor for sure. I'm not saying it's not needed sometimes, but if that is the way we stay healthy, then it's going to be hard. And that's unfortunately how most people, when they have a problem, they go to the doctor and they expect the doctor to fix it with some pill or other. That's usually just like dealing with the symptoms and postponing the problem, until it just gets worse. So we have to be our own doctor, and some knowledge is needed, and not all that much. The big advantage of being there 24 hours a day is that you can react very quickly. So that whenever you see something is coming, immediately you can respond to it, and then only a little thing is needed to restore the balance. But if the balance is there a long time, because let's say you had to wait 4 or 5 days to get to the doctor, then already the problem has gone, so much further. So then a bigger hammer is needed to reduce it, but what will that hammer do? Maybe create another problem, create another imbalance. So the key to our health really lies within ourselves, and understanding the doshas is there the most essential part, and the gunas also, of course. And the quick response.